We're all familiar with the legendary ideal of outlaws like Robin Hood, living on the outskirts of English society, robbing from the wealthy and giving to the poor. Based on such tales, one might assume that being an outlaw in the medieval era was synonymous with being a criminal. But this is far from the case. Being an outlaw was terrifying because you were literally declared to be outside the protection of the law. In short, if you were an outlaw and someone were to murder you, that person wouldn't face legal consequences. The same thing goes for any other crime you can think of. Possessions, money, and any land you once owned also became forfeit the moment you were declared an outlaw. It was almost like the Purge, but it only applied to you. Being declared a felon in most countries today is much different. Committing a serious offense in most modern nations might result in a lengthy prison sentence, but the system of laws still theoretically applies to you. Just because you're on trial for robbery, for example, it wouldn't be legally permissible for someone to break into the courthouse and shoot you with an arrow, to put it bluntly. But in medieval Europe, if you were an outlaw, you had no such right to safety. Examining the text of the medieval common law of England, a word of outlawry made, with respect to you, caput lupinum, literally meaning let his be a wolf's head. Legally speaking, the term essentially equates you with a wolf, or any other wild beast in the eyes of the law. It's a roundabout way of indicating anyone who felt keen to hunt you down as if you were an animal would face no punishment for it. Indeed, there was often some reward, either social or economic, for doing so. But outlaws weren't just hunted by random citizens. As fugitives, outlaws were pursued by county sheriffs and other forms of feudal law enforcement, which were notoriously brutal. Furthermore, it was actually illegal for anyone, even family members, to give you aid, including basic necessities like food and shelter. Once a word of outlawry had been declared, life was extremely rough. The crazy history of outlawry extends all the way back to ancient Roman laws of exile. The penalty was then referred to as homo sacer, Latin for the accursed man, and meant, as with medieval society, the unlucky individual was forced from civilization and deprived of all civic rights. Exile also included the related punishment of aqua et igni interdictus, literally translating as to forbid water and fire. This opposing addendum meant what it implies, codifying the illegality of providing outlaws with basic necessities, pretty similar to medieval laws around offering aid. Examining the history of outlawry in other countries, in early Germanic law, the death penalty is notably absent altogether, with being made an outlaw the most severe punishment. Since the label was so dangerous, this makes a grim amount of sense. Being made an outlaw was, essentially, a fate worse than death. Much later in the 16th century, the German concept of vogelfrei took on a similar meaning. The denotation of the term is similar to free as a bird, which began as a positive description implying independence. With time, however, being a vogelfrei meant you had the same legal rights as a bird or beast due to criminal actions, and as with other cultures, meant your days were numbered. Exactly what constitutes a crime serious enough to be made an outlaw depended on the culture and time period, with everything from robbery to murder to not showing up for court when summoned being listed as examples. The legendary outlaw of English folklore, Robin Hood, might have certainly faced such a punishment were he a real historical figure in 13th or 14th century CE, making the character a bit more hardcore than he's often remembered. A notable historic outlaw is Norse warrior Erik the Red, who was exiled in 982 CE for killing another member of his community. Not interested in sticking around to be potentially killed while an outlaw, he sailed north and might have helped discover Greenland. Pretty interesting stuff. Going full circle and returning to English common law, the outlaw punishment is, thankfully, no longer in effect in the modern day. Funnily enough, though, the law wasn't officially abolished in England until as late as 1938, although the concept was already obsolete, and wasn't actually being used. Still, there's something interesting about the fact that outlaw punishment technically survived all the way up until the invention of the car. Were the punishment of outlawry brought back today, it would be extremely terrifying in our modern society, so we can all be glad we don't live in the medieval era. And that's where a discussion of ancient outlaws reaches its conclusion. I hope you enjoyed learning about a law I think we can all agree wouldn't be too nice to have applied to you. Please consider subscribing and leaving this video a like if you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.